Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Garcia,
I'm Nick Nielsen.
and another episode of Fireside Yankees. Lots of stuff going on in spring training. Not any moves for the Yankees to talk about, but with Judge, there's one big move that is looming, and it's like it could happen at any point now. It could happen while we're recording, which would be
Should
pretty
have already
fun.
happened.
I agree there, and
I don't
that's
get
the
what
Judge
the delay
extension.
is.
Yeah, the Judge extension. I mean, look, man, I know spring training, you don't look at spring training stats and go, oh, his spring training OPS, that means he'll be incredible this spring.
Yeah.
But you look at how Judge hits the ball. The dude hit a 117 mile per hour line drive the other way for a home run. How many guys can realistically do that? This is a guy who has generational opposite field power as a right-handed hitter in Yankee Stadium. Could it be a better fit for the stadium?
No.
Great defender, great leader, great player. I mean, this is a guy who's projected to be the sixth best player in all of baseball coming into next year or coming into this season. I can't imagine letting this guy hit the open market. I think you agree with me here, but Nick, take it away.
And that's the thing. Like with Judge, the only gripe that comes with Judge is his health.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though last year he played, what was it, I believe, like 143, 141 games last year. He was really good last year and healthy for like a majority of the season. But you look at the couple years prior, I believe 2019, 2020, and 2018, he missed a lot of games. But when you look at when he's played, since 2017, his WRC plus average is 154 to go with 24.5 F WAR. The dude's basically 5 WAR a season. And then he's also hit 154 home runs, I believe, since then, and a 960 OPS. Like when you talk about the elite players in baseball, Aaron Judge is obviously going to be in that category, in that discussion every single time. Like I see people saying, oh, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, could they be the 1-2 for MVP this season? I think that Aaron Judge is going to be sandwiched between Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani in terms of their performance this year. Whether that means that it'll be Trout 2, Judge 5, Ohtani 9, or Trout 1, Judge 2, Ohtani 3. I just think that Judge is better than Ohtani, but not as good as Mike Trout. So that's where, for me, it's like you got to pay the guy. Like he's done nothing but bring good things to the Yankees. Huge fan favorite, one of the top 5, top 7 jerseys in terms of sales every year. They've got the Judge's Chambers. Literally people, I saw this a while ago when the Judge extension was first talked about and brought up. Let's say 1 out of 100 fans come to see Aaron Judge. And let's say there's like over the course of the season, the Yankees get, I don't know how many fans they could get over the course of the season. Let's say 200 million people come visit Yankee Stadium over the course of the season, 150 million people. I have no idea. But if you get 1 out of those just for Aaron Judge and he's not there anymore, that's going to be a massive blow. So it's like, I get the injury worries and that he is 30, going to be 31 soon here. And he is big, but watching him play, he doesn't play recklessly. He doesn't play kind of like Byron Buxton or Kevin Kiermaier, where he's always throwing his body on a line. He plays a very good defense and he's an elite hitter. So I think he could have no problem, even if he's 36, 37 playing DH, being like Nelson Cruz levels worth of good offensively. Like Judge extension should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, and to second that point, I mean, you talk about the Judge injury, and that's obviously a big factor into this. But what people talk about is from 2018 to 2019, Judge was injured, yes, but he was still in F WAR, the 18th best player in all of baseball, tied with Javier Baez at 17th. Well, 17th, tied for 17th because Baez is at 17th. And you look at the contracts, that a contract that was given to someone. Manny Machado was given $300 million over 10 years after 2018. 9.5 F WAR from 2018 to 2019. Judge was at 9.7. If Machado was deemed a $30 million a year player, right? I'm not talking about 10 years, right? Judge is not getting 10 years, right? I understand not giving a 30-year-old 10 years. Don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah, but the AAV should be $30 million. I agree. 6 for 180, get it done.
Yeah, and $30 million, is for Aaron Judge. I mean, even if he doesn't play, he's playing, let's say 130, he's still going to be a player, right? And a player in this league is a top 20 player in this league, right? And we know Aaron Judge is more than a top 20 player in this league. We're talking about a freak of nature in terms of his athleticism. He's got quick, he's quick to the ball. He's quick in general, right? Look at the strikeout rates. They dropped dramatically, right? They were 31.5% in 2019, 25% in 2021. Right?
And that's what's crazy. Aaron Judge, for his size, to be striking out roughly the same as Josh Donaldson. And we love Josh Donaldson's ball profile, his approach. He's consistently good at not striking out at a high rate. But for Aaron Judge, the biggest player in baseball, to be striking out at like 25%, that's crazy. Because I remember when he came up as a rookie in 2016, And even 2017, the year that Jose Altuve robbed him of the MVP
Yeah.
award, Aaron Judge was still striking out like 32, 33% of the time, 36% of the time. And now
that was the big criticism of him.
Yeah, and now it's like everyone has to find something wrong with Judge. That's what I don't get. Like when Judge, of course, dodged the vaccine question and he said, I just want to play spring training baseball. That's all I'm focused on. Immediately people are like, get rid of him. Not my player. And then you have other people that are like, stand up for your beliefs. Like, I like that. When Aaron Judge, realistically, I don't know if he's vaccinated or not. No one knows because he didn't say if he was or not. He just chose not to answer the question. But you have people that are like, oh, he shouldn't be on the team because of that. People are always going to nitpick something with Aaron Judge, I feel like, partially because of his style and his approach. But what people don't realize is that Aaron Judge is like a 280, 285 hitter. Like, Aaron Judge can make good contact, and he is oftentimes, more often than swinging for the fences, just trying to put the ball in play, get on base, hit a double, hit a single. And that's what I like about Aaron Judge.
And what he does so well is, I mentioned this, where he has like generational opposite field power, and that makes it so that when he's fighting off a fastball, it could be a home run at Yankee Stadium, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah. He's just the slugging version of DJ with his batted ball profile. Like DJ hits all across the field as well.
Of course. And if you look at the quality of contact for Aaron Judge, xWOBA we know is a really big quality of contact metric, right? Uses strikeouts and walks. He was fourth in that metric last year, right? To give you context, right? The only guys ahead of him were Acuna, Soto, and Harper. And the three guys are just listed ahead of him. One of them is a two-time MVP in Bryce Harper. The other one, arguably, is the best player in baseball in Juan Soto, and we know that guy's going to be a generational talent, or is a generational talent. And Acuna is another one of those generational talents, right? Ahead of guys like Vlad Guerrero Jr., Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani. This is, I obviously am stating the obvious here where I'm saying, oh, he's an elite hitter. But I really want to emphasize, you're not letting go of like a pretty good hitter. This isn't like, oh, you're losing a pretty good hitter.
This is the top 5 hitter in baseball for the last 5 years.
You are losing a guy who is going to, no matter where he goes, is going to be a generational offensive play. He's going to change a lineup, right?
Exactly.
Coming into next season, in terms of projected offensive runs, according to Fangraphs, Steamer has Aaron Judge producing the 5th most offensive runs in baseball. I just want you to imagine the Yankees' offense that wasn't very good last year. It was very average.
Last year without Judge, we would have been probably a 75-win team.
You take away 38.2 projected offensive runs from the New York Yankees, and we're talking about whether the New York Yankees should be selling, right? We're not talking about them as a division contender. We're not looking at the rest of the American League. We're looking at how high are we going to be picking and which guys can we trade. There is not a single player on the New York Yankees, except for maybe Garrett Cole, that you take them away from the roster and you suddenly tell yourself, are we sellers now? Like, should we start selling? Who should we trade away? What prospects should we look at, going forward? Suddenly, Fireside Yankees stops becoming a show in which we talk about the playoffs and stuff like that, and it suddenly becomes a show in which we're just talking about prospects and who's being shipped next. That's Aaron Judge.
And for me, it's like, if you look at Judge for what he brings to this lineup and how he is going to play this season, especially, if the Yankees choose not to get an extension done with him before opening day, which honestly they may do, it seems like everything we think the Yankees should do and need to do, they choose not to do. So maybe this is just a sign of things to come. But if they choose not to do it, it could go one of two ways. One, Aaron Judge could play his ass off and have an MVP season. The Yankees could either A, make a deep run in the postseason, or B, have other things go on. At the end of the day, that's not Aaron Judge's issue. But if the Yankees end up playing really well this year and win the World Series, Aaron Judge's average per year just went up from $28-30 million to $36-38 million. Just because of the fact that he had a good year and they won the World Series. If he has a good year and they suck, his average still went up $4 or $5 million a year because he played well. So the Yankees are just either A, going to bank on hopefully that he wants to re-sign with them next year if they don't want to do an extension, or they'll probably send him some 4-year, 5-year offer, which is like, dude, he's your franchise player. Like, he should be the captain. He should have that C in his chest. I mean, the things he does for the Yankees and off the field in New York as well. The All Rise Foundation, he helps a lot of inner city kids. He does basically everything he can to give back to the community and to bring a good image to the New York Yankees. Like, a lot of people hate the Yankees because they're good, but a lot of people do not hate Aaron Judge because he's Aaron Judge. And having that guy as your franchise player is it's what you have to do. It's like we just talked about the D-backs extending Ketel Marte the other day, 5 for $75 million, I believe, which is an insanely great contract for the Diamondbacks. But if the Diamondbacks are committing to their franchise player despite being terrible, why can't the Yankees commit to their franchise player when they say they want to win a World Series?
Yeah, absolutely. You hit every you absolutely nailed that, right? I just you cannot consider yourself a World Series contender. And the Braves, they didn't extend Freeman and they didn't bring him back, but they brought in Matt Olson, right?
Who's as good, if not better.
Yeah, there's no Matt Olson out there to go out and get to replace Aaron Judge for the 2023 season, right? It's not there. Could Conforto hit the market? Absolutely not. There is not a comparison.
Conforto's not even signed now. What makes people think he'll be even better next year?
I love Gallo. Love Gallo. Gallo is already on the team. He cannot be considered a replacement for Judge, nor do I think he'll ever replicate Judge's numbers, right? Judge is just a special offensive talent.
Joey Gallo has to up his batting average by 40 points to be Aaron Judge levels, because Aaron Judge walks basically as much as Gallo does because he hits the ball more. If Aaron Judge had the exact same approach as Gallo, he would be a 20% walk rate, 35% strikeout guy. But he's evolved his game like everyone that's a Yankees fan wants Joey Gallo to do. And now it's like you see, hey, Joey, we all know you have the power and you're a good defensive player. And if you stay healthy, you can put together a really good season. But if you can work on your swing, work on those chase, work on swinging at pitches that are literally right down the middle of the plate, but you didn't want to swing at. Like all those little things that Aaron Judge has done so well over the past 3-4 seasons, especially, that make him a legitimate AL MVP candidate. That's why we love him, because he's improved, because he's done things, taken criticism, taken advice, worked with people. And I think Dylan Lawson's going to be a great head coach or hitting coach for the Yankees this year. I mean, we're already seeing wonders with some of the guys in spring training. I know we freak out about spring training, both sides. Like,
just exit velocity.
Bad. Yeah, just exit velocity.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like exit velocity isn't everything, sure. But if you hit the ball hard, you have a lot better chance to get on base and to have the ball land. Like it's just common sense. Like there's a reason that players that hit the ball, especially in the air, do so much better than when they hit it on the ground. And what does Aaron Judge not do? Hit the ball on the damn ground. So if you want to look at what he brings to the team, just in terms of the numbers, like the sales and the Yankees justifying paying him $30 million a year, I'm willing to bet everything in my entire life that Aaron Judge brings in at least $30 million a year worth of revenue to the New York Yankees.
Absolutely. And, this isn't to knock other players on the Yankees saying, oh, these guys suck. It's just Judge who's good. No,
they're good
it's
players,
just saying
they're just not as good as Judge.
Yeah, it's just trying to paint the picture, like trying to get people to understand there are good players, there are all-star players, fringe MVP contenders even, right? But then there is Aaron Judge, and he is just a tier above. And that's why the Yankees should extend him, because you rarely stumble upon this caliber of talent. In the best case scenario, Anthony Volpe is Aaron Judge. Best case scenario. Best. His median outcome.
It comes from the Yankees farm, them growing him. He becomes a franchise player, fan favorite. That doesn't happen.
Right. Like the most likely outcome is, he's a pretty good player, right? Not Judge, but a pretty damn good player.
Yeah.
Right. That's the most likely outcome. Judge is an anomaly, right? You don't run into these guys. The Yankees need to extend him.
And if he goes somewhere else, that's the biggest crime of the entire offseason. I saw ESPN gave us a D+ for the offseason, which means fuck all in my opinion, because I have no idea what they were going off of. I tweeted it and I said they were going off of a narrative that this is what was available and then this is what the Yankees ended up with, which is, as we talked about, not the way you should be judging this Yankees team and the Yankees front office. They already knew what they were going to do. They had their plan set in stone. Correa was never a guy we wanted. We never wanted Story. We offered JV that 2-year, $50 million deal before the lockout. So everything after then, or everything before then, means nothing at this point, in my opinion, because the lockout changed the way the front office thinks, even if it's justified or not, which it's obviously not. But it's clear that they're going about this a different way. So if they don't extend Judge, this offseason will literally have been trading for IKF and Donaldson, which a lot of people seem to think is why the Twins were able to get Correa. And it honestly may have been because we took off Donaldson $25 million. But at the end of the day, we were not in on Correa at all. So we just got Donaldson as an extra with that IKF deal. So that's our offseason. And then signing Rizzo. And then re-signing LeCastro. And then having the greatest assortment of minor league contract players you could possibly have. Like we got Marwin. We got Ender. We
brought back Manny Banuelos.
Manny's been looking good. I don't know what the hell that is.
Killer bees, man. Killer bees.
And then you also got Ronald Guzman, who had an elite game. If this airs tomorrow, he had an elite game yesterday, or today. It's Monday the 28th when we're recording
left-handed hitter. left-handed first baseman. I mean, realistically, what's the difference between
And then
him and Matt
Andahar,
Olson?
like these are all guys that are going to be in the minor leagues that could be on a lot of other teams' major league rosters. And for us, it's like, well, we have 3 or 4 guys that are kind of a super utility role at this point, and it's like, what are we going to do with them all? Like Ronald Guzman played in the outfield. He even played third base a bit in the minors before moving over to first. And then now we got Andahar, where we genuinely have no idea where we can play him. LeCastro, who plays both middle infield positions in center field. And then you got Marwin Gonzalez, who's been playing very well in spring training, that plays basically everything. Even though he was absolutely horrible last year, he looks pretty good in spring training. Yes, it's spring training, but we have a lot of that's my thing with this team. Like the offseason was not a D+ by any means. I give it a C+, B-. But if we extend Aaron Judge, that just became a B+ offseason because of the fact that we extended the guy that we needed to extend. We kept our core with him, Stanton, and then we have Cole on the other side. And I honestly think if Severino pitches well, we extend him. And those are our 2 guys on each side that we're going to build around for the next decade.
Yeah, and the Yankees are loaded depth-wise, right? And I think that the biggest improvement the Yankees were going to make was realistically guys who sucked last year or were hurt last year becoming better and, just being healthy and out there, right?
Hicks, big one.
Hicks, getting a switch hitter back. Like, I don't think the emphasis of people aren't really understanding how big of a role a healthy Hicks plays in this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy who is a switch hitter, right? Got some good speed, can hit for some power and get on base. Like, if you looked at that Yankee lineup last year, if Aaron Hicks was available on the trade market, which like an Aaron Hicks like player was available on the trade market,
we would have jumped on it.
Yeah, every Yankee fan in the world would have wanted him, right? I think Hicks gets a lot of slack, a lot of hate in the Yankee fan base because hurt all the time and he got the contract extension, right? And ultimately, yes, you have to be on the field, and that's not me saying Hicks not being on the field is fine. But when he is on the field, he's a good player, right?
Yeah,
we know
Hicks
this
could be a 240, 250, 360, and then 445, 450 player. Like, we don't even need Hicks to hit home runs. We just need him to hit base hits, hit doubles, see pitches, and get on base and run the base as well. We were so bad at base running last year. I know you've done a lot of Twitter threads about this. You love the base running shit, man. But we were so bad last year. And this year, we're projected, I believe, what did you say, about league average across?
Yeah, we're going to be a league average base running team.
That's a massive improvement. That could be 4, 5, 6, 7 wins added onto the team total.
What people forget is so 2 things, 2 notes about Aaron Hicks. In 2020, his last full season, he was 13th in BSR. So he was the 13th best base runner in baseball last season.
And wasn't his OBP like 380 that year?
His on-base percentage, yes, 379, right around 380. Only slugged
like a 15% walk rate. He's insane.
He only slugged 414, but he put up a 124 WRC plus. If you look at the amount of guys with higher strikeout rates than walk rates, Aaron Hicks was one of very few guys to do that. Guys like Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, right?
Did Trey Turner do it?
No, Trey Turner did not do it that year because he doesn't walk nearly enough because his walk rate isn't like double digits.
I was going to say his walk rate I know is like 7% probably, but I figured his strikeout rate was low teens.
Yeah, another guy who did it, Tommy LaStella, who had a 5.3% strikeout rate and an 11% walk rate.
But that's the thing. If you look at those guys, they're not like elite hitters, elite players. They're slap shot hitters that see the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I bet Nick Madrigal this year, Luis Arias, those types of guys could push that as well.
Yeah.
Same with DJ LeMahieu. But DJ and Hicks are kind of that anomaly where it's like with DJ, though, it's crazy because DJ, it's like he hits for power. And he honestly, the Yankees, as soon as we got him, it was all once you get that like swing angle and that elevation, like that angle right a little bit, and you improve the launch angle and the degrees and everything, DJ could hit 30 home runs. And then we saw for 2 years how good DJ was. But now you look at the Yankees and it's like we have what I think for the first time, especially compared to last season and even 2020 season, is a very balanced lineup. Like now we have guys that can hit for power. We have guys that can hit to get on base. We have guys that can hit to just make contact and cause problems on the base paths. And then we have that catcher platoon, which I'm not a fan of, but Higgy's been putting together a nice spring training. So it's like, that's making me feel a little bit better about the Yankees not pursuing a catcher. So I'm not mad about this team, and especially with Hicks. It's just, for me, it's like if Hicks plays 100 games this year, you got to let him go.
Yeah.
You cannot have another year of Aaron Hicks taking up 11 million, 10 million, 9 million, however much it is, because I don't know exactly how they
10 million.
Average it out. 10 million.
Yeah.
For next year, and then I believe the year after and the year after that, because I think they signed him to a 7-year deal.
Yeah, so it's 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. So 4 years remaining on the deal.
So
it's
if he sucks
440
this year, you cannot have another 3 years worth of Aaron Hicks making roughly $30 million to be a non-contributive baseball player that's injured
Right.
and taking up a roster spot.
But I will say I have faith in him to be that productive player.
He's a good player. He's a good enough hitter to where it's like you believe that Aaron Hicks can figure it out. Like, and at the end of the day, we still fleeced the Twins by giving them John Ryan Murphy for Aaron Hicks.
Yeah.
So no, so it's like that. I'll take that still. I mean, John Ryan Murphy, what's he been up to?
I think he's retired, right? I hope he's doing well though. You know,
I mean, I wish him the best, but I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, for what we got Hicks for, granted, for what we're paying him, what we want out of him, it sucks because he's always injured. But when he's healthy, he could be a 20 home run, 25 doubles, 15 steal, 10 steal guy that just balances out the bottom of the lineup. Because I don't want to see Aaron Hicks batting third or leadoff or second ever. But if Aaron Hicks is batting 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm very fine with that.
Yeah, and you know, to kind of not to like just talk about Hicks because you know I know Hicks. You know, at this point, it's really just a matter of like you know he's got to play, right? I think we all understand
all it
that.
is for him, man.
Yeah.
Like, when he plays, he's a top 5 center fielder in baseball across like WAR and WRC plus and everything. Like he's like a 775, 780 OPS outfielder with good defense, good power, and good speed. Like you don't see that. That's a switch hitter.
Yeah, and you know he reminds me a lot of Robbie Grossman.
I was about to say Robbie, super underrated.
One of my big things around the deadline was I used to post like every time Robbie Grossman would hit a home run, it would just be Robbie Grow. Don't you know?
I like that. I like that.
Unfortunately, the Tigers decided to become good at baseball, or not good, but like competitive, and so they're not going to really deal him. You know, so
what do you think of the Tigers this season? Because we kind of talked about before this episode, talking about how the AL will shape up a bit.
I just want to give you credit. That's like a phenomenal transition right there from like Hicks to AL competition. That's phenomenal.
What can I say? I mean, I'm good at my craft.
Yeah, of course. But the Tigers, you know, and the rest of the AL Central outside of the White Sox, they're just interesting, right? I think every team in the AL Central, I think like the White Sox are going to definitely be good, right?
I think they're like a 92, 96 win team.
They're a really good baseball team, up and down. They don't really have many holes, right? You know, they're pretty well. They're not like elite, right? Like they're not like the best team in baseball. They could be, right? But they're not really flawed either. Like they do a lot of things well. That's just an all around good baseball team. They look at the rest of the AL Central. It's just interesting, right? Like the Royals could have a good lineup, right?
That's what I think so crazy is if the Royals get Montas or Minaya, because granted, I have no idea at this point what the hell is Oakland doing. They're seemingly not going to get rid of either of them, but at the same time, it's like, guys, your team will literally by the deadline probably have 20 wins. So
at this rate, maybe.
And with their defense behind him and the offense providing basically next to no run support, Minaya and Montas are not going to have great years this year. And I don't think Oakland's realizing this. I don't think they're realizing if we sit on these guys and hope that they continue as good as they were last year, this season, with literally like 5 different players behind them in an offensive lineup that's projected to be bottom 3 across the board, you're crazy. So that's why it's like if the Royals get Montas and Minaya, that team is all of a sudden like a legitimately good wild card threatening team. Their lineup's talented, dude. Like Mondesi, people are forgetting about Adalberto Mondesi because he was injured and he had some positional like questions. Like I don't know exactly where he's going to play, but when Mondesi plays, he can literally lead the AL in stolen bases and hit 20 home runs. Granted, he's not going to walk a lot. He's going to strike out a good amount, and he's not going to have a shiny WRC plus. But for that guy being in like your 7 or your 8 hole on your lineup, that's really good. Like Hunter Dozier's a big bounce back candidate. You know, I love Nicky Lopez.
I think Carl Santana's gonna like he really struggled in that second half, but
Santana's like their Hicks, but he shouldn't be like Hicks. Like his numbers last year.
He should be able to hit better than this.
He walks a lot. He didn't slug at all last year, but he should. Yeah. That's the thing. Like they expect him to do more.
Yeah, his second half was brutal, and a lot of that points to like his injuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he bounces back and you know Steamer has him at a 110 WRC plus, if he gives you that, you get the rest of their infield.
You take that.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. could be in that infield come opening day.
Yep, Nick. I think opening day infield has to be Santana at first, second base Lopez, shortstop Witt, third base Mondesi, Hunter Dozier DH.
Yeah, and you know they also have remember that kid Melendez who was crushing in AAA.
They do.
They have a lot guys who were just really good in AAA last year.
That's the thing.
Nick Prado, I believe, as well.
Nick Prado, I believe he played today. He hit well today in spring training.
Yeah, Nick Prado last year in AAA, man, in
And
63 games, 21 home runs.
And if they get
Ridiculous.
Montas or Manaea, dude, that rotation of Greinke, Montas or Manaea, and Brady Singer is not the worst front three in baseball. Like, you could do worse. I think that front three is better than the Twins' front three right now.
And they've got guys like Lacey coming up. You know that a guy like
I love Dylan Coleman out of their pen. I think he's really talented.
Yeah, they've got arms out of that pen.
Josh Stomont, Amir Garrett, who they got from Mike Minor, which was highway robbery.
They got some good players, right? And we're not saying they're going to be like a really
but they could be like an 85, 86 win team.
They could crazy at best, right? Like
if they get Montas or Manaea, they could be an 85, 86 win team. As of now, I think they're right around 500, maybe a couple games above or a couple games below. Yeah. But the Royals play good baseball. They don't just swing for the fences. They've got a lot of guys that are contract driven. I mean, you look at, like I said, Mondesi, you look at Whit Merrifield, you look at Nicky Lopez, Andrew Benintendi. And then you got the home run king last year, Salvador Perez, which I don't think he maintains. But having that in your middle of your lineup with Hunter Dozier and Carlos Santana, with Bobby Witt Jr. as well, who literally swings just like Mike Trout, which is crazy, by the way.
Benintendi had a pretty solid year last year as well. Michael A. Taylor's
he's a
really
good contact hitter. He's like, what, 270 batting average, 17, 18 homers?
They're going to be, and they are a really good base running team. Second in BSR last year. If they put together a league average offense, like if they put up like a 100 WRC plus as a team with really good BSR numbers, we're going to look at a team that's going to be able to score more runs than you would expect.
Yeah.
Right? If they can get a guy like a Montas, right? You got Montas, Greinke, Brady Singer last year. I know his ERA was a little higher, right? 4.91, but the adjusted FIP was a better than league average. His career FIP is 4.05, which is above league average.
And he's got good stuff. He was their top prospect for literally, I believe, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
so there's a reason. Balls. Yeah, and they also got the ground ball king, Brad Keller. The dude literally only tries to do his ground balls grounded. Granted, he struggled last year, but Brad Keller, if he gets the ground balls, he's a good pitcher. Like they signed him to an extension, I want to say a couple years ago, because he had that breakout year in which you saw his ground ball percentage was, I believe, top 5% in baseball. So it's like the Royals. I think the Royals, as of right now, are better than the Twins and are better than the Guardians.
That's interesting.
I know the Twins. I could get some shit for this because the Twins just signed Correa. And I know the Twins have a lot of really exciting pieces on that team. Like, I think if Byron Buxton stays healthy, he's a 30-30 type player. Then again, they may not let him steal as much so they could keep him healthy. But that Twins lineup, you look at the bottom half of the lineup, I don't think it's nearly as good. Their pitching, I've been talking about it for the past 3 Fireside Yankees episodes, dude. Like, outside of Sonny Gray and then the rookie Joe Ryan, where are they going?
Joe Ryan guy.
I like Joe Ryan, but where are they going? They hope to get 140 innings.
They got Chris Archer. They got Chris Archer.
Oh my God.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the deal. That just put the Twins over the 100 win team, over the 100 win mark for me.
Yeah,
Chris
honestly,
Archer, if Chris Archer's not a top 5 Cy Young finisher this season, I will eat my words on this.
Hey,
but there's just no way.
Yeah, look. I think that they're going to be a solid team, but realistically, I like the Twins more than the Royals by a smidge. I think that I like guys like Jose Miranda in that lineup, right? I think he's going to be really good. But I don't think it'd be like the 2 through 5 could finish in any order. Wouldn't really shock me. Twins could finish 5th or 2nd. Wouldn't really shock me. Tigers could finish 5th. Wouldn't shock me. Royals could finish 2nd. Guardians could be a wild card team.
Because the Guardians pitching is really good, but then you look at their offense and it's basically J-Ram and Franmil, and then please, holy shit, someone else show up.
What's sad is that if they just spent any amount of money,
but they're not. They have a lower payroll than Mad Max is making this year. That's what's wrong with baseball. And I know you've also talked about this, and I've seen your Twitter. Of course, everyone go follow our Twitter feeds here. Ryan Garcia, ESM, always in the lab. He's posting good shit.
We've got a manner now.
I love it. Look at that. So
the lab is the lab that we're cooking in right now, man. It's getting better. It's not
one of Heisenberg's labs, so don't worry about that in case the FDA is listening.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the FBI clarify. You want to clarify with the FBI. That's not that type of lie we're talking.
But for the Guardians, it's I like their team, and you said you have them as a wild card team. I just don't see it personally because granted they're always going to be good at developing pitchers, but it seems like every year one of their pitchers goes down. I like Tristan McKenzie. I think he's going to take a huge step forward this year. I think he's really, really good and really underappreciated. But I don't know how they're going to use him. I don't know how many innings they're going to want him to throw. I don't know if they're going to be trying to look for him as a Nestor type guy for them, or if they're going to be looking for him to be a true number 4, number 5. Because Plesac is really good. I like Savali. Cal Quantrill is all right. And then Shane Bieber is healthy this year, and he's an elite ace, number 1 pitcher in baseball. So the pitching is not the problem. in my opinion, at all. Like bullpen as well, very solid. Emmanuel Clase,
Hey,
elite closer. But the offense, dude, who's going to score runs for them when J-Ram goes 0 for 4 and Franmil goes 0 for 3?
Like, I think the thing is, who do they call up, right? I think that's the question for me, because I like that. Like, I think Josh Naylor could break out at any point.
Bobby Bradley,
remember him from that
everyone's
series.
expecting that.
You know, he's still young. Josh Naylor got hurt last year early in the season. He's still 24 years old, right? You know, maybe he figures it out. Steamer really likes him. Zips not as much, but maybe there's something there.
They still have a Rosario, right? Ahmed Rosario.
Yes. I really like Steve Kwan. Steve Kwan, AAA last year, 505 slugging percentage, 398 on base. Listen to this: 6.7% strikeout rate, 11.7% walk rate.
That's
really
nutty.
strong hit tool. His hit tool is great at a 70 out of 80 with an 80 future value. So like, there's a chance for him to have like one of the best hit tools in baseball. So this is a guy who's like really good contact hitter. But as you mentioned before, they really lack that power, right? Like they have Franmil and Ramirez. They kind of need more power. Bobby Bradley showed flashes of it, but he wasn't able to sustain it. Not sure how his future looks.
Bobby Bradley had like weeks, I feel like, where it's like, well, there's a free out.
Right. Bobby Bradley last year barreled 16.8% of baseballs he hit, right? But the problem is he struck out 35% of the time.
That's the issue.
Struck out 40.8% of the time when he last played at the major level in 2019. Struck out 32.1% of the time at the AAA level, right? Again, we're not saying like, I think we've been relatively clear on like, yes, yes, we want guys, the Gallo strikeouts, not a huge problem, right? Obviously, if he strikes out less and replaces them with barrels, he becomes a better hitter, but not really going to say Gallo's a bad hitter because of his strikeouts.
Gallo's also not going to change his approach or his swing or anything like that. Like he is who he is.
Bobby Bradley cannot be striking out 35% of the time.
Especially not for what the Indians, whoops. Oh, no, Guardians. Please don't cancel me. Oh, Lord.
We're good.
For what the Guardians need. The Guardians don't need Bobby Bradley to go up there and either hit a home run or strike out or walk. They don't need that 3 out.
He doesn't even walk that much. The walk rate's not crazy high. Like if
Franmil already does that, but he does it a lot better.
If he had like a 15% walk rate, I think it'd be like, Bobby Bradley is a guy where, good, big power left-handed hitter, gonna walk a lot.
9%?
Yeah, 8%. It was 8%. No, it was 9% last year, but it was 6.4% in AAA. So, I don't really think we're talking about a high chase rate. We're not talking, not a high chase rate, a low chase rate type of guy. I think we're talking more of like a guy with average plate discipline, right? Nothing crazy, right? Not really.
And that's the thing. Like if it's more of a 2 outcome where it's like a home run strikeout, then it's like yikes. You take away that's what he could turn into. He could turn into Chris Davis-esque type of player here, where it's like you only hit home runs or you strike out. But unfortunately for Bobby, people have learned from their mistakes and will no longer give out ludicrous contracts to players that don't deserve it. Sorry, Chris Davis. The highest paid player on the Orioles roster this year, Chris Davis. Isn't that awesome?
Look, man, Bobby Bradley's got a lot of power. Like
he does. I mean, he was a top 10 first base prospect for a couple years. Yeah, and according to MLB Pipeline, according to Fangraphs, like Baseball America, and Baseball Prospectus, everyone loved Bobby Bradley as a hitting first baseman.
Yeah, this guy could put up, this guy can easily hit 30 plus home runs. But the problem is the on-base percentage is going to start with a 2, right? If the on-base percentage starts with a 2, that's a problem,
Because he can't slug 600 towards even, like he's at best, in my opinion, a 220, 230 with 290, 280 OBP and then a 470, 480 slugging guy.
And that's just not going to
cut it. And that's like not even a 740, 730 OPS. Like that's all right. But that's not great. For a first baseman, that's really bad. Yeah. So if he ever develops the plate discipline, different conversation, right? We're talking, he did burst onto the scene pretty well. He had a 133 WRC plus in his first 131 play appearances, and he just struggled after that. That's the problem. Like after that, he just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like the Yordan Alvarez experience, where he came up, hit the cover off the baseball, and then everyone's like, okay, maybe this will maintain. And then he's now all of a sudden one of the most feared hitters in baseball. Like that's not what's going to happen with Bobby Bradley. Like people need to realize that the Indians, you're good. This is going to get really hard for a little bit. The Guardians, that's why. Thank God I'm a Yankees fan. The Guardians, that's where they're going to need some help this year. They're going to need guys that are going to be either someone that you wouldn't expect to play well or people to play out of their mind. Like Franmil Reyes last year was really good. They're going to need Franmil Reyes to be even better this year and to be even healthier than he was last year. They're going to need his walk rate to go up. They're going to need him to strike out a little bit less. They're going to need him to perform better with runners in scoring position. And that goes across the board for the Guardians. Because I just don't think that their pitching can carry them to 88, 87, wild card-ish, number 2, number 3 in the spot.
I think they're a
wins.
fringe contender. Not an. I don't
Really?
think they're going to get there. I think they're a fringe. Like there's a chance they make it. Not sure it's high. Like,
Well, let me ask you this: who do you
Mhm.
like more, Guardians or the Tigers? Because I like the
I would say
Tigers.
I would say the Tigers pitching staff is really intriguing, and they have like the potential to do it.
Yeah, Mize and
But
Scooble are really nice
yeah,
with Erod.
Cleveland just has that track record of just always being a pretty good developmental organization. So, I'm gonna say I like the Guardians a little bit more, but wouldn't be shocked if Tigers finish ahead of them. But
I just
that's
think the
AL
Tigers
Central.
are really underrated, dude. Like, and
Yeah,
here's a
they're a
hot
solid
take for the
team.
season. This is
Mhm.
my hot take for probably for the year, and you can clip this as a thumbnail or whatever to attract the views, of course. My hot take for the season is that Casey Mize finishes with the lowest ERA in the American League. Casey Mize is absurdly good.
That is a hot
and got
take.
screwed by terrible defense last year. And now you look at what Casey Mize can do. You look at his spring training numbers and his RPM's up, his velocity's up. He's looking good. If Casey Mize gives the Tigers 165 innings, he could have a sub-3 ERA. Like, I don't think it's Casey Mize was the number one prospect in baseball. I could be mistaken. He was like the number one pitching prospect in baseball for a while.
He was up
His
there.
splitter is absolutely disgusting.
Look, I'm not sure if the upside is necessarily there just because he doesn't have that dominant 96, 97 mile.
But he's throwing
fastball.
96 in spring training.
Yeah, look, hey,
Like if we see something like him with Clark Schmidt with that or even Davey with that velo bump, then that just makes Casey Mize eat that much better. Because we talk about with the earlier two I said Clark and Davey, and even Jameson where his fastball was up a little bit in velocity, not a lot, but up a little bit. Like if we talk about that mile two tick up in velocity, and we want to talk about how those guys could really benefit from it and look like they're piecing it together. Casey Mize already has it pieced together. He just needs a little bit more oomph in a strikeout pitch, a big put away pitch. And once he finds that, which I think he will this year, Casey Mize is a legitimate number 1, number 2 starter on any team in baseball. I really, really like Casey Mize. I hope the Tigers suck and they blow it up like this year and next, which they won't. But if Casey Mize ever becomes available, I want the Yankees to jump on that immediately. He is so good.
I'm a big Screwball guy. Just think he's cool. But I definitely
really
see the Mize hype. But, ultimately, that's going to be a fun team to watch. And I think the AL Central is just one of those teams where, like, look out, man. There could be a team that jumps
a really
out
good
the
division, dude.
Yeah.
Unlike the AL West, which we can kind of move over to here.
It's not
I think the AL West is so top heavy.
Yeah, it's just real. Like I see the Astros, and look, I don't want to be like that guy because it's a fun team, right? But like, not sure I'm buying in on the Mariners being like really good. You know
I think the Angels can be better than the Mariners.
I think they could too. Like
if Trout and Ohtani play 150 games this season,
and Rendon too,
and Rendon,
there,
the offense is not the problem. The pitching has always been the issue. But if Syndergaard looks good and he's throwing 96, I'd say I'd take 96 if I'm an Angels fan at this point. And Sandoval does look like the real deal, kind of like he did last year. They got Lorenzen on a flyer. And their bullpen is actually pretty good. Like they got Tepera, Loop, Myers.
Iglesias
signed Rizal
awesome.
Iglesias. I think he's really good. He was disgusting on the Reds. And then they also got Archie Bradley, who's looking for a big bounce back year. So it's
they've got guys like
bad. They just have question marks across it. But I think they've got you could agree with me. I think they've got less question marks than the Mariners do. Because the Mariners last year took everyone by surprise. And they were really good at like clutch performance, like when it mattered, and really good at like extra innings baseball. Like remember when the Mariners were like 11-1 in extra innings?
Their ability to win 1-run games too.
It's insane. Unreal. Like I don't think that can maintain because they lost Graveman. Did they keep Steckenrider? Because I think
they lost Sadler. I know Sadler's out now.
They've lost a couple of guys. They've got a good young team, but they also have too many cooks in the kitchen in the outfield. Like when Kyle Lewis comes back, what are you going to do with him? Taylor Trammell clearly hasn't really proved it, despite once being a top prospect. Jay Winks is a beast. You have to have his bat in the lineup. Same with Mitch Haniger. So it's like, what do you do with the other 3 guys, including Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez, who's chopping at the bit? Yeah, like the Mariners have a great problem right now. They could trade some of these guys away and keep retooling. I don't know why they're not doing that to balance it. Because I don't think the Mariners have a team to be competitive right now.
They can compete for sure. Like they can be a good playoff. Maybe they can make the playoffs. But like you said, like when we're having a discussion of are you better than the Angels, that's not a really good. Like that does not bode well for your like World Series.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
aspirations, right? And they have guys, right? Like or they have like really talented guys. But I don't know if they're going to be talented enough to, let's say, go out and beat up. Like they have the Astros in the division, and the Astros being in your division is just That's already tough enough. And the
The Astros
Angels
are a
decided
100-win team still.
right. The Astros are ridiculous. And another guy I want to talk about on the Angels, former Yankee farmhand Jansen Junk, who his peripherals were ugly last year, really ugly. Did post a solid ERA, which is cool. His double A stats, man, with the Yankees, he put up a 1.78 ERA in double A. Pretty good prospect, showing up and showing out in some spring training
What's
outing.
the health of Griff Cannon looking like right now? Because I know he was their top prospect for a long time,
Cannon,
up there with Adele and Marsh.
And Reed Detmers. Remember Reed Detmers?
Yeah, Reed Detmers as well.
That's a guy.
And they've got Jose Suarez. Like they've got a
Jose
couple
Suarez
of guys that they're like, if you have at least like a 4.5 ERA or below, the Angels can push to the wild card. And if Trout's healthy, this team's the playoff team. Like there's no way that age 31, 32 Mike Trout can just keep missing the playoffs.
Yeah, and what they have right now is they have like the top 3 rotation is pretty solid. Otani, Sandoval, and Syndergaard is a good 1 through 3 in my opinion.
But how often do they pitch Otani? That's the other thing.
Yeah, with the DH rule, like that he can just
the Otani rule.
That's awesome. That's great for him.
Sucks for AL West competitors.
Yeah, it does. But you just have to piece it together. Yeah. Get Lorenzen, who throws hard, to maybe get some of those starts in Canning, Detmers, Junk. Suarez. So just get maybe one of those guys to be good enough in that rotation, and you'll survive until the deadline and maybe pick someone up. It's about survival until the deadline for the Angels.
Can they do it? If the Angels can get there, they can acquire an arm very easily, and they could do something where they could take a look. Honestly, I don't think that the A's would do it because they're in a division, but they could look at the A's because the A's will be struggling. The Reds will be absolutely horrendous come deadline day. So it's like, that those guys are going to be on the market, like Luis Castillo and Tyler Mahle and other players on their team. Lucas Sims will be back from injury. Luis Cessa will probably be on the market. Like there are options that they could use for even a spot starter, long relief guy to get 3 in.
Right. And look, they have a great middle of the lineup. Trout, Shohei, Rendon, Walsh too. Walsh, another guy.
And then of course you got the question marks in their top prospects like Adele and Marsh. Are they going to put it together this year?
Yeah. And another guy, too, Max Stassi, always has been a really good hitting catcher and a phenomenal defender, right?
Didn't they just extend him as well?
Yeah, they did. So, Angels looking strong for next year. Not saying they're going to go win the division or win 90-plus games.
Certainly as good as the Mariners, in my opinion.
Yeah, they'll
better than the A's.
Wild card spot, right?
And I think the Rangers, I don't get. I get what they're doing because it seems like with their deals, they mainly made those deals to compete in a couple years. But the thing is like, the Rangers pitching is absolutely abhorrently bad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Like I would not be surprised if we see Jack Leiter already this season, which makes sense. I mean, he's already one of the older guys, one of the top prospects, was very good in college. But that just shows how desperate they are for pitching. And to help that, they went out and got John Gray for like a $8 million per year overpay. And they're expecting their lineup, which already has a lot of question marks. Like, I love Corey and I like Marcus Semien. I don't think Semien's going to hit 35, 40 home runs again. I just don't see how it's possible.
Especially in Texas. Left field's not very forgiving.
That's what I'm saying. Like Joey Gallo even struggled to hit a lot of them. He got a lot of them that went foul. Some of them that were even deep fly balls in that ballpark. And then you've got Willie Calhoun, who they're planning to play a lot. That's always had that. He could do it, but never put it together. Nick Solak, Adolis Garcia was really good, but then fell off hard. Like, there's just a lot of question marks. I love Nate Lowe. I think he's a really underrated baseball player. I think he can be a 270 batting average, 22, 27 home run first baseman, which is not, like elite, but for what they're paying him, I believe they're paying him like $700,000.
Still,
he's really good.
Pre-arb, he's good.
It's just that's the thing though. That team is like a 75 win team.
Yeah,
and they've just signed Corey Seager and Marcus Semien to basically life deals.
Right, and it's good that they're spending money like you want to see. But they're not good enough right now. They're just not good enough right now.
They're not competitive. But the Astros are the best team, dude. I think their combo, in my opinion, their 2 best players, Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, can go against any 1-2 in baseball, even Judge and Stanton.
I think they can.
Even Olsen and Acuna. I think that offensively, especially because granted, Yordan doesn't play defense, but offensively, Kyle Tucker is an absolute monster of a baseball player. He's going to be the Jordan. He's going to be the Jose Ramirez for the next half decade. in terms of he's going to put up top 5, top 10 numbers every year, but not going to get the respect he deserves.
I like that take of he could be a Jose Ramirez type player where you see the offense really.
He's insane. What's crazy for me is his batted ball profile and watching him like swing, take pitches, and work counts. Like he works a lot of counts. He's like Aaron Judge, but not as big, but quicker. So it's like he doesn't have the power Aaron Judge has, but his swing plane and his launch angle are both insane. Like Kyle Tucker is a bona fide superstar, in my opinion. And I think Astros fans should stop being pissed about losing Correa, because they also got Jeremy Pena, who was a top 30, top 40 prospect in baseball, coming up to fill that spot. So the biggest question mark for the Astros for me is, one, how is Verlander going to look? I mean, 39, didn't pitch last year because of Tommy John. And two, how's Alex Bregman going to look? Because Alex Bregman last year basically got rid of all the power. And he kind of
2020 as well struggled.
And it's like, if you're going to kind of go with that Christian Yelich route where it's a lot more ground balls, not as high of exit velocity, not nearly as high of X slugging, then I don't know if you should be batting second in the lineup, third in the lineup, like they're going to be planning on doing Bregman. Like I've seen I think Fangraphs roster resource for the Astros has Kyle Tucker batting sixth. And that is ridiculous. Absolutely stupid.
Not happening.
If Kyle Tucker doesn't bat second or third, if you do not have Kyle Tucker and then you could do Bregman and then Alvarez, that is a very, very difficult 2, 3, 4.
You could justify leading off Tucker.
You could, but I just don't think you do it to Altuve, because Altuve, where else you don't put Altuve 2 because he doesn't have the power or the ability to hit for home runs as much anymore, or the walk rate as much. You don't put him 3, same reason. And then once you get past 5, it's like that's just disrespectful to Jose Altuve.
Yeah, Altuve is going to probably lead off for the.
Yeah, I think it goes Altuve, Tucker, Bregman, Alvarez, and then they got Gurriel, Brantley. Like that's a really, and then you got Pena, and then you got I don't know, they may do McCormick, and then they got a really talented lineup.
Or Jose Siri, man.
Siri did come on strong last year too.
Siri was just cool. I like Siri.
Like they could have the Astros are going to win that division. But I still think the second spot is a toss-up between the Angels and the Mariners.
Yeah, I think what we're debating here, not debating really, but what we're talking about here is, are the Astros going to win the division and lose in the first or second round, or are the Astros going to go win the World Series, right? That's what we're really, that's really the conversation for the Astros. Are they going to go, right? That's really a conversation for them every year, right?
They got the Rays legend, Jake Odorizzi, back, so he's their 5 right now. Yeah. I mean, you have a pretty good rotation when he's your 5. He's not a bad pitcher, but he's not a good pitcher, but he's their 5. Like, they've got a really good team.
They have been in the ALCS every single season since 2017, right? This team is going to make a playoff run. They are literally like the best ALDS team I've seen in recent. Like they kick the absolute dog crap out of everyone they face in the first round.
Pretty crazy.
It's hilarious. Like the past season, they toyed with Chicago. The year before that, they blew out Oakland. The year before that, they just absolutely, I think it was, who was it that they faced? Was it Tampa? Oh, Tampa was the only team that went close with them.
Yeah, I think
Tampa made it close because it was a game 5.
I know last year they beat, or 2020 Tampa beat Houston.
Yeah, in the ALCS. So, 2020.
That was because of Brett Phillips, baby.
Yeah, 2018, man, they beat the absolute daylights out of Cleveland. That's
what's crazy.
Massacred Cleveland that year.
Then again, when we played Cleveland, we also massacred them. 2017, I believe.
It took us 5 games. They massacred them. And then in 2017, they just blew past the Red Sox. Like, that's just a really good playoff lineup, really good lineup. They just know what they're doing. And they're going to be the Yankees' toughest competition, in my opinion, outside the Blue Jays, right?
That's what I was going to ask you. So who do you think's better between the Astros, Blue Jays, and White Sox? Because for me, it goes Astros, Blue Jays, White Sox.
I would agree with that. I would say Blue Jays 1 just because I really believe in how strong that roster is. But I say in the playoffs, Astros are always going to be 1.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Blue Jays every year. I feel like last year the Blue Jays had just as much hype going into the season as they do this year. Granted, their rotation wasn't as good, but offensively, everyone was expecting Vlad to be that guy. Bo Bichette came in a little bit before the season before, I believe, and tore the cover off the baseball. Cavan Biggio walked 16% of the time, and people thought Cavan Biggio was going to be a revelation. When now you look at the team, it's like, is Bo Bichette going to be able to have another 6-WAR season like he did last year? Is Vladdy going to be able to almost hit 50 home runs again? Like, I think that team is really good. I just don't think it's as sure of a thing as the Astros, which is why I have the Astros ahead of them.
Yeah, and the Astros are always they don't have to be the number 1 seed in the American League to win the American League. They do it pretty consistently. And I think that's that they're going to be a tough team always. And I hope that the Yankees can prove that this year they're a team that can not only, play well in the regular season, but go into October and beat down on teams that have historically done well against them.
I don't give a shit if we win 132 games and if we go 132 and 30 and lose in the first round. I just don't even care anymore. No one cares about regular season champions. If the Braves, if the regular season ended and they gave the winner, the Braves would have came in what? 6th for the NL.
They looked like the worst team in the National League playoffs.
At the All-Star break, the Braves were bad.
Yeah,
because they lost Acuna and they didn't know how to replace him.
And they got Soler and
they got
Soler and Eddie Rosario.
And then they had Duvall hit really well. And they also ran, I forget one more. I can't remember who the last guy. Peterson. So those guys all basically granted, I will say, none of those guys were really elite for them or just turn it around except for Soler. Soler actually played really well with them.
No, Soler looked like a different ball player.
But now you look at what has happened since those guys came over at the deadline for basically pennies on the dollar from every team. And all three of those guys got multi-year extensions worth at least $6 million. And it's well, if the Braves could do it as what were they last year? 90-win team, 89-win team before the postseason. Mm-hmm. If the Braves can do it with a group of those guys, then anyone can do it. That's why the postseason is so crazy to me. It doesn't matter what your record is going into the postseason, especially for wild card games. You could literally go 15-0 to win out and make the wild card game, and then get beat 7-0. But that's why I like that now. It's a series, isn't it? A best of 3, all 3 games at home. I like that. Thank God. As a Yankees fan, we've been in wild card purgatory for the past couple years, and it's dude, this sucks. Garrett Cole last year, I don't want to ever see that again.
Right. And
don't put me through that shit.
Yeah, I really do think, ultimately, this is going to be a fun season, right? Whether we win or not, it's going to be an interesting season for the American League.
The A's could win 75 games somehow. That's what I love about the A's, is that Billy Beane is the second longest tenured GM in baseball, or maybe the longest at this point with his same team, behind or around Steinbrenner. So it's the difference, though, is that Billy Beane doesn't spend money at all, and yet he's still more or less competitive each year. Right. So the A's, I don't count them out ever. Like I said, Seth Brown will have 40 home runs this year, and Elvis Andrus will have a revelation 300 batting average season. I'm telling you, it's just something always happens in Oakland because they also want to move. You got to play well to, be able to get that $1 billion stadium deal on the Bay. So it's I don't know, man. I'm really excited about this year. I think it's going to be a really, really fun year of baseball.
Yeah, for sure. And the American League, going to be fun. We're going to have a good time, hopefully watching baseball, hopefully the Yankees are able to beat all these teams we talked about today because,
every team I think got better except for 3 in the AL.
Yeah, I feel like talking about these teams out loud for a little bit, you kind of realize, this isn't going to be, the American League's not only that it's wide open, because I think we really didn't find, there really isn't that team that's they're so much better than everyone else. They're just incredible at everything. They're going to
every team has some holes and some flaws. And for a lot of the teams, it's honestly center field.
But there's not a lot of teams to beat up. There's not, oh, let's go into, Detroit and let's just get a quick sweep here. Let's go into Detroit and let's try to get 2 out of 3. This is a good team.
That's what's crazy. I never thought I'd be looking at the Detroit Tigers on the schedule and be uh-oh. Ever since they got rid of their whole, elite rotation back in the early 2010s, I thought that was the last we'd see of Detroit for a while. And now
they're back.
They got a good team. You love Robbie Rogro, baby.
Robbie Groh, don't you know?
Don't you know? Yeah, what is it? Robbie Groh, don't you know? I love that. That's so good. And Akil Baddoo, the helicopter sound. Akil Baddoo, if he can hit lefties this year, he could be like Michael Conforto's level of good. He's a very good baseball player.
Corner outfielder right there.
And then you got the other guys, Baez. It's just crazy to me that every team got better, except for literally the A's. That's it.
Basically, and Baltimore, I guess. But Baltimore,
we knew this was going to happen. But Baltimore got better because they let their young guys come up now. They get to have Adley play this year.
Yeah.
That's a win. That's better immediately than whoever the hell they were running out at catcher last year.
God,
I know it wasn't Pedro Severino.
Was it him and someone else? Yeah, it was him and someone else, and they just could not frame. Watching Pedro Severino frame made me laugh.
He's so bad defensively. It's actually kind of crazy. He is like Omar Narvaez levels of bad defensively behind the plate. And now,
Omar Narvaez went to the Brewers and figured it out. And guess where Pedro Severino went? To the Brewers.
That's what I was about to say. And now Omar's getting reps. He's playing well. Isn't he their starting opening day catcher? Narvaez for the Brewers.
Yep, he's really good. He had a good year last year.
Maybe they fixed him.
You at the plate. Really good defender.
Also, real quick, last thing for the Rangers, Mitch Garver, dude. I think Mitch Garver can really good.
Right there. That's a
I
stud.
think he could have 25 home runs this year if he plays 400 plate appearances.
30. It's close to 30. Really do.
He's Zunino, but with better contact peripherals.
But we all know, the right-handed catcher that clears all of them is right here in the Bronx, Kalagashioka.
Damn right.
Hit 2 home runs in that one game, which I just
and they weren't just 2 home runs; they were like 2 bombs. Like
Kalagashioka just decided to wake up and go, "I'm him."
But didn't you bring it up in one of the episodes? Like his barrel rates, his
he
hard
barrels
contact
the crap
numbers.
Out of the ball.
He's good. Maybe this is the year he does it.
He's gonna be that guy.
I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm hyped. This is a fun episode, dude. This is a real fun episode.
So, you guys know where to follow us. We have a banner now. We have a freaking banner now. You know where to follow us now on Twitter. You can see it there. No excuses to not follow us now.
None. We post good content.
Right there for you guys.
You should have seen the memes I was posting.
Yeah,
we got a new Josh Donaldson hard hit ball notification to work with Ryan's elite IKF hard hit ball and like all the other 13s he's got ready. He's got like 13 of them ready to go. It's great.
I have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hard hit ball.
You got Clark Schmidt bump day, Monty bump day.
I got to make the Davey bump day. I actually have a Luis Heel bump day. I didn't know he was pitching today. I was in practice. So I had no clue
really good.
Oh, he
looks
phenomenal.
Really good. Like last thing for spring training, all of the guys that we want to see look good have looked good. Everyone talked about Cole, how we gave up the home run to Cole Tucker,
Cole's throwing gas.
Vanessa Hudgens' boyfriend. But Cole was throwing gas. He threw his fastball 34 times out of the 50 pitches. He's literally just trying to get a feel for it, get the velo up. He was touching 98, 99. Good. I'm not worried about Cole. Monty bounced back. Severino, I'm not worried about. Again, it's spring training, so this is how we are. We're subjective with our picks. When someone does well, maybe this carries over. When someone does well, it's just spring training.
Right. So, ultimately, hopefully we have everyone playing well come opening day, right? Obviously, it's not going to happen. Guys struggle, but hopefully hopefully we have a good year. So
I'm excited, man.
I think that'll wrap things up there. Thank you guys for listening. You guys know where to check us out. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
Adios.
Listen close. What is this? Is it heartbreak? Is it truly what it feels like? What it sound like? When it's truly at a sharp teeth in the chest, cancer all in the breast, and the feet and the bruise. Feeling like a pawn to the degree that he's fools, but I never been a piece of the evil in the room of these tricks. This what they mask, I presume. I'm telling if I got a load, I swear I resume on my conquest.